begin when you're ready.
I'm Phoebe Coles.
I'm Hazel Kelly.
I'm August Herbert.
I'm Lane King, and today we're talking about timeout rooms in Massachusetts.
This is a seclusion room found in a psychiatric hospital. This room is used as a last resort for the most dangerous patients.
These are all examples of seclusion rooms.
This is a timeout room in an elementary school. While it could be mistaken for a closet, it's actually a place where kindergartners are sent to calm down. As you can imagine, it often has the opposite effect.
This is the question of how can timeout rooms used for kindergarten to third grade students in Massachusetts manage student behavior?
A timeout room is a place where if students are misbehaving, they are sent. They are taken to an unlocked space with accordance to state guideline, and a teacher or trained staff member must be present.
Before we introduce the problem, we'd like to establish that DESE stands for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and WBUR is an impartial news source based out of Boston University. Reports in the Boston Globe from 2024 and 2025 explain that students are often sent to timeout rooms as a result of unsafe behavior, such as hitting, biting, or headbutting.
More reporting from the Boston Globe under State Rule 603 CMR says that these rooms must constantly be unlocked and supervised every 15 minutes, but they say warns that the effectiveness of these rooms relies on the way the schools follow this law.
An article in the Boston Globe in 2024 gave two specific examples where timeout rooms were misused with students with disabilities. The first being a 6-year-old named Ezra with ADHD, whose mother removed him from school after seeing the room that he referred to as the cage. The second was with an autistic 8-year-old named Finn, who's pictured on the screen.
A seclusion room is a locked room where the child is sent, but a timeout room is an unlocked room where the child is accompanied by an adult. In the timeout room, the child can leave whenever they please.
So what laws are in place? According to MassGov, all schools in the state are required to make the rooms clean, safe, and the appropriate size and temp to meet the needs of the student. While there are laws in place, not all rooms are the same. The vagueness of laws allows for interpretation, so some schools use rooms that are tiny, but arguably the right size for a young student.
Timeout rooms have existed for over 50 years. They first became a thing in the 1970s, but grew in popularity in the 1990s under the Zero Tolerance Law policy. It wasn't until 2010 where regulations were finally put in place on seclusion rooms.
According to NBC Boston in 2019, public records were requested from 351 public and charter schools around Massachusetts asking if they used timeout rooms. Of those, 100 said they did not use them, 64 said they did, and 90 did not answer.
The main problem with these timeout rooms is the misuse. When teachers rely on these rooms too often instead of as the last resort, that is when the child is traumatized. According to the Boston Globe, these rooms also single out kids with disabilities, causing a lot of controversy.
So how did the problem arise? From the 1990s to the 2000s, the rooms were used with very little oversight. It wasn't until 2016 where seclusion was finally banned, but many schools still continued to use them under the new policy. And then in 2024, the Boston Globe reported students, especially those with disabilities, getting increased anxiety and other mental issues from being in the seclusion rooms. Then in 2025, Massachusetts legislation admitted that there was wrongdoing with the seclusion rooms.
So why solve the problem now? According to the University of Manchester, when students are placed in timeout rooms, they don't actually teach students how to manage their behavior and and obviously have long-lasting effects. Also, more times than others, children with disabilities are getting placed in timeout rooms, which can oftentimes feel like they're an outlier.
Supporters, according to the WBUR, say that these rooms are very beneficial for special education teachers. They say that having these rooms help the teacher send the one child that is misbehaving during the class so the teacher can continue with the plan and keep the rest of the classroom calm. But the critics, according to the Boston Globe, have found that any benefit that comes from this room is only short term.
According to Ross A. Thompson, a psychologist, about 90% of the brain is developed by age 5. This means early stressors matter. According to Catherine Thompson, a psychologist at King's College in London, told that 10% of children who are placed in ongoing isolation may fear anxiety and may fear adults later in life.
According to DESE, last year there were 7,000 seclusion cases, with over half involving students with disabilities. Psychologists warn that the wrongdoing that seclusion is can cause extra increased anxiety with students with disabilities.
Instead of a calming presence, timeout rooms create an atmosphere of fear that impacts the whole class, not just the students sent there. In 2011, the American Sociological Association posted an article saying that When fear-inducing elements exist in a classroom like disciplinary spaces, it can lead to students internalizing stress.
Another problem is the lack of teacher training. A 2022 NPR report stated that most teachers are not trained in de-escalation or trauma-based solutions. This can lead to unfair punishments with students.
Since the media has brought attention to these rooms, the state has set a new guideline that over the summer that will be put in place in August 2026. The new regulation says that DESE will give each school the funding amount to help the timeout rooms. If the school does not use the funding amount to redo their rooms to abide the new guidelines, then it needs to be eliminated completely.
There are many pros and cons to this solution. According to the Boston Globe, some pros are that teachers and parents are involved and they set clear definitions between seclusion and timeout rooms. But there are also some cons. Some cons are that schools may not have enough money to fund this, and emergency seclusion still takes risks.
Many students with disabilities have academic plans. These plans could be a 504 or an IEP. With these plans, a student has take breaks whenever they need. These could be going in a corner, taking deep breaths, or going to the calm down corner to help them stop overstimulation and prevent any future behaviors.
In their responses, 5 of the teachers mentioned using calm down corners. This is where students are sent if they're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or just need a quiet place to take a break. Michelle Berry, a 2nd grade teacher at one of the schools in our district, showed that these were used regularly to help students feel more calm and safe.
Along with calm down corners, Mrs. Berry mentioned that listening to relaxing music, taking walks, and incorporating sensory lighting into classrooms are other ways to calm students down. Preventative intervention almost always works, and it works with students with disabilities. According to actionforhealthykids.com, incorporating sensory resources and calm down corners into classrooms can cost anywhere from $0 to $800, paid by the teachers or schools. These methods almost always work, but what happens when they fail?
Another solution is a calm down room. These rooms are already used in our district and they're safe and a good way of calming down a student. Michelle Berry reports that these rooms are already rarely used, but when they are, they're always supervised and the students are sent there to calm down, not as a punishment.
When the student starts to feel overstimulated, they can take the deep breaths, as mentioned before, or go into the calm down corner, as mentioned before. But if none of these solutions work, although they almost always do, according to Mrs. Berry, that is when the child is sent to the timeout room.
So how do we implement this? Many schools have an open room that is either rarely used or almost never used. These rooms can be big enough to hold many kids if needed. This will also help with maintaining price. Schools wouldn't have to maintain many rooms and only maintain one. Also, according to the National Association of Special Education Teachers, teachers are already trained for when students are being sent here.
So what do we do with existing timeout rooms? Closet-style rooms could have the doors removed or left open and be used like calm down corners where students can come in and out as they please to calm down. They could also be converted to material closets for teachers or removed entirely.
So as a last resort, our calm down rooms. These rooms are the most safe and the best alternative to seclusion. A 2024 NCES report said that 78% of schools, U.S. public schools, have 3.4 or more aides trained in special education, so staffing these rooms would not be a problem. Timeout rooms are the best alternative to seclusion. They offer the safest and most reliable way of calming down a student.
Thank you for your time, and here's our excited.
9:03. All right, let's go to your questions. All right, we're going to start here. So, Leighton, what was the strongest counter argument to the solution or conclusion that your team identified and why?
Thank you for your question. The biggest counter argument would be just to get rid of timeout rooms as a whole. Many people believe this because it would just help the student well-being overall, but we believe that it doesn't actually teach students how to manage their behavior when we put all our lenses together.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let's go to our next question. All right, let's see. Describe how the content of the team presentation was changed as a result of group discussion.
Thank you for your question. Originally, we intended to incorporate the economic lens into our presentation, but as we did our research, we found that the scientific lens would be more helpful as it provided specific examples where students with disabilities were impacted by the environment differently, and it showed us how that is.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, next question. I guess let's do this one. Reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that your group identified?
I appreciate your question. I would say Phoebe, because she had the her lens kind of, you know, it had the most impact. You know, looking at timeout rooms, being that they are such a, some parents support them, some don't, and coming from her lens, it kind of showed both sides of, you know, I want my child to be punished so they can learn to be better, and I would never want my child to be placed in this room. So just kind of seeing those two contrasting sides, Phoebe helped out a lot with that.
Okay, good. Hazel, what is the way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own individual research?
Thank you for your question. The way our team provided information, like Layton's, was the scientific lens, and that helped me because I'm the political lens. So seeing her data from each source, it helped me form different opinions on how, like, different political sides or culturally, how different families would see and view this.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. What else?